Well, hi, everybody. Fred Barletta, and thanks for joining us here on Local News 13, SSP Television. And, you know, doing the sports for the last decade or so, we've always stayed in touch with Joe Maddon, first with the Anaheim Angels, and then more recently with the Tampa Bay Rays. And needless to say, success that he's had there, including this year, just been phenomenal. And we've had him on stage and set here many times talking about baseball and some of the things with his Rays club. But we shifted gears a little bit earlier this year. We had a chance to sit down and talk to him about his hometown of Hazleton, and that's because he's come up with a lot of ideas and things that he would like to do here in the greater Hazleton area during the off season. And so appropriately, as the 2011 season was winding down, we had a chance to sit down with Joe Maddon, no, not in the clubhouse or in the dugout at Yankee Stadium, but in a more serene setting in New York City, where we could sit down and talk a little bit non-baseball and explain some of the details about what's going to be going on this off-season. So we proudly present to you our interview with Joe Maddon, as we said, shot on his last trip into New York City earlier this year. Well, you haven't been getting many off days lately, but this one you made the most of it because you brought the hometown into focus here today, both nationally and locally. And you can tell us a little bit about what you have in mind for this coming December.
Well, we're starting something called the Hazleton Integration Project, known as HIP. My wife actually thought of that, and I'm very proud of her for doing so. We're trying, backtrack, went home last Christmas, and I was really quite frankly disappointed in a lot of things that I saw, and a lot of it was rooted, I thought, in the sense of the fact that the Hispanic community and the community at large, the Anglo, the folks that have been there for 100 years, were truly not getting along, and there was a lot of fear involved, and there was a lot of darkness involved, and it was just a bad vibe to the entire place, and I really was upset. I was very, very upset by the whole thing. Actually, flying back to California after that visit, I'm on the plane, and I'm talking to my wife Jay about it, and I'm just not liking all this. And I thought, well, just don't not like anything about it, do something about it. And so I got in touch with my cousin Elaine Curry and her husband Bob, and we've my sister Carmine, and kind of developed this little group, like a grassroots group back home. And my whole purpose is to hopefully create a better dialogue between both sides. And this is not a political statement by any means. I just want to hopefully build a dialogue, build relationships, develop some trust, not unlike what we do here with the Tampa Bay Rays. When you get into a situation where communication is lacking and there's absolutely no trust, nothing good can possibly happen of that. So this project is designed hopefully to develop communication, dialogue, and we're going to do it through an event this winter on December 15th, 16th, 17th, and 18th to 15th will be a press conference back home. It might be at the high school, I'm not exactly sure yet, but a press conference to outline the events, which is pretty much what I did today on that. We had a conference call regarding that too. The next day will be the 16th, I think it's a Friday night, at Lobitz's, at the catering hall down the bottom of the hill there. Lobitz's are good family friends for 100 years too. Typical dinner with the Italian Polish fare, but we're also going to bring in some of the Latin Dominican foods also from a friend back there in New York. She has a restaurant, I think she calls it Second Base Restaurant down on Broad Street now. So New York is going to bring some of the Latin world into it also, and we're going to have hopefully at least 450 people, which we think is going to sell very quickly. And among that's going to be an auction. I've accumulated a bunch of really good items this season, bats, balls, jerseys, of some very significant players that we're going to auction off at this event, along with the celebrity bartenders and waiters of the tables. For instance, Johnny Damon said he would come. Orlando Cabrera, a good friend of mine, said he would come. Davey Martinez, our bench coach, is going to come. I'm going to try to get Carlos Pena there too. D'Angelo Dundee said he would be involved. Also, maybe Don Zimmer if the weather's good. Ruben Amaro from the Phillies to be at this event on the Friday night. Saturday, we're going to have a showing of It's a Wonderful Life at the high school auditorium in English with Spanish subtitles. And my favorite holiday movie of all times, for me personally, Hazleton is Bedford Falls, and I don't want it to turn into Potterville. It's slowly becoming Potterville, actually quickly right now, because that was my entire take. So hopefully people will be able to derive the comparisons between the two in doing this in English with Spanish subtitles. And then the last day, Sunday, we're going to have a Thanksmas meal at through the auspices of the local Salvation Army. Thanksmas is a project that we work on in the Tampa Bay area where we cook for the homeless. Now, it's not going to be a homeless center-driven event, but people that are in need, we're going to have them come out. We're going to serve the Polish, Italian, Latin cuisine also for this event. So, in a nutshell, that's what's going on. It's the first year that we're going to do it. We're not walking away from it after the first year. Not to be too long-winded, but I just want to give you the whole thing. Also, we're trying to attempt to procure a community center for the youth of the entire city. Within that area, also develop programs, baseball, basketball. I want boxing involved. That's why I want to get Angelo up there to get involved with the boxing. Any kind of sporting event you could possibly think of, I want to establish there among the youth of the city where not just the better kids play, all kids play. Video games are pretty much leaving them in front of their TVs or their computers, and they don't get out with the discipline of practice or the discipline of a team environment, and we're sadly missing those thoughts among our kids. So that's going to be a big part of the center, as well as maybe some adult educational experiences also. But hopefully the money that we're going to derive from this event is going to help go towards a down payment of the building. We're looking at a couple properties, the Holy Trinity Center, Community Center right by the mouth of Harmon Guy Stadium, and the one right next to it, the St. John's old school there. So that's pretty much, in a nutshell, final point. The Ripkins are involved also, Cal and Billy Ripkin and their foundation. The Ripkin family, they're going to be involved. To what level, I'm not quite sure yet. We've already had meetings with them, but they have a lot of great ideas. They're really heavily involved in inner city development of programs for underprivileged kids as well as minorities, et cetera. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be vibrant. I promise the folks back home it's going to be a very interesting Christmas and a very fun Christmas this year.
It's very obvious that to get involved in an undertaking like this, particularly with your busy schedule, more than anything else, Hazleton still means that much to you. And maybe you just want to talk about that, because of the schedule, you're not able to be there as much as I'm sure you'd like, but the heart obviously is still there, Joe.
Listen, I wouldn't be standing here if I wasn't raised in that town or sitting here. I really believe that. And it's not just the fact that I had a great set of my parents, great parents, or a great family. I also had great teachers and great coaches, and this warm, wonderful community that supported us as kids. I believe the thing that's missing there when I go back home is the fact that the community is no longer raising the kids. There's too many separate little islands out there. Everybody's involved in their own little worlds, and it's being really exacerbated right now, furthermore, by the fact that we're having this chasm between the Latin community and the community that's been there for 100 years. And we have to get beyond that, because I believe, from what I saw, this is my opinion, that the involvement of the Latino community there is going to really help bring our city back to where it had been. In my baseball life, I work with Hispanics on a daily basis. I've been to their countries. I really love these people. They're so much like we were growing up, it's incredible. If you go back to the days of my grandpa being in town and my grandmom, et cetera, they didn't speak very good English at all, but the kids did. And what you're seeing back there now, maybe the grown-ups back there, the Hispanic adults, they're trying to learn our language, but I've met the kids. The kids are beautiful, and they speak English better than we do. So eventually that's going to all turn. That should not be a detriment right now. People have to understand that. So growing up back home, I want these kids that are growing up there now to have the same benefits that I had growing up. I talk to people oftentimes about how wonderful it was, and all my memories are nothing but great. Yours are the same way. I don't have any bad memories about growing up in Hazleton. I have nothing negative to discuss or carry with me for the rest of my life. It was truly a positive experience. And if I have one regret, it's that my kids didn't grow up there. My kids grew up in Arizona, and if I had one do-over, I'd make sure that they had grown up in Hazleton.
Well, welcome back. And as you saw, some of the things we're talking about really aren't sports related, but more Hazleton related. We enjoyed sitting down and letting Joe explain that to us. And here's more with the skipper of the Tampa Bay Rays, Joe Maddon. You're saying the last day of the event, you're going to do the Thanksmas. And I just want to clarify that. I know you and I have talked about this, and it's become very, very popular among not only the community in the Tampa, St. Pete area, but a lot of the Rays. It's amazing, from guys that broadcast your games to people that play for you to front office personnel, how they've all gotten involved. Tell us a little bit about that, so when we say that, the people in Hazleton fully understand what the Thanksmas is all about.
Okay, Cliff Notes. When I was with the Angels, I used to ride my bike up and down the coast from Huntington Beach to Sunset Beach, etc. And I'd see homeless folks pushing their life in a shopping cart on a daily basis. And I said to myself, if I ever have a larger soapbox, I'm going to attempt to do something about that. So I got to the Rays a couple years ago, and I floated the idea that I like to create what I call Thanksmas, meaning it's a moment any time between Thanksmas and Christmas to have a dinner, serve a dinner for the homeless to indicate that we care, that you're not invisible, that we see you, and I want you to know that we're there for you. Now, the point of that also is that that's just one day out of the whole year. I mean, these folks need our help more often than that. The next point also is it's not just a bunch of lazy folks that don't want to work. There's a lot of families involved. And in the present economy, last year there was a lot more people that needed these services in the Tampa Bay area because two-income families now became one-income families. And all of a sudden they couldn't make things work like they had in the past. And now all of a sudden they're in need too. So anyway, that's where it was born of, those thoughts. So I get to Tampa Bay with the Rays, and I started it out, called it Thanksmas, this moment between Thanksgiving and Christmas. That was the point. And it was started with this meal because, I mean, going back for the holidays, it's sitting around the dinner table, the family over, enjoying this meal that your mom's cooked or your aunt's, and you sit there and you enjoy something that is unique to your family. So we do the spaghetti meatballs and a sausage and pierogies in this meal down in the Tampa Bay area. We've served Tampa, St. Pete, Bradenton, Sarasota, I think, Port Charlotte, and we infiltrated Fort Myers just because the Red Sox are down there too. So that's the point. And now last year we've also been able to include a hoodie. We gave them a hoodie with our logo on it because it gets cold, man. It gets cold down there in the wintertime too when they're having a hard time finding a place to spend the evening. We've gotten them socks. We got sneakers for the kids. It keeps getting bigger and bigger. We've got some fundraisers going on now that we could provide more. So anyway, that's what Thanksmas is. It's gotten bigger and bigger. I want to keep growing it, hopefully to the point like this year it's coming to Hazleton. It's been in the Florida area, but we're bringing it to Hazleton this year and hopefully beyond in the years to come.
Because you're a lifelong Hazleton guy and you still remain in touch, you're telling us about what you saw out in California. You see it down in the Florida area. Tell us what you see when you're coming back to Hazleton that you parallel to these places that maybe those of us that are there day in and day out aren't exactly seeing now, and why you think this is so important to get involved and do these things.
Actually, it's what I'm not seeing now because I'm trying to describe what I used to see. Believe me, it was so much fun to wake up there in the morning going on the Altmiller playground. The playground system, I would love to see the playground system come back. Every playground, we had our own little teams, whether it was, it could be volleyball as well as baseball. The little girls making different items in these like kind of a home ec situation. The morning began with that. The morning began for me with the Allegheny airline flying into our airport. I think it was like 8 a.m. and that was my indication to get up. And if I didn't get up, I was wasting the day. And then you go over to the high school and play fastball against the wall, hitting balls off the awnings at third base, luncheonette. And then that would lead into the night. Somebody would have to come yell for you to come home and have dinner. Then you go out and play under the arc light because you're playing a night game. You know, all that stuff that we used to do, I don't understand why it can't be done anymore. And I'm not living in the past, believe me. I consider myself very contemporary, and I know what's going on now. I get it. I understand the technological components of our world, but man, you can't get that far away from what we had been. So I'm able to go to places like where I live in California right now, and it's still very vibrant. I live in the Long Beach area in Belmont Shore, and it's in a big city, but it's a little town, man. I walk everywhere. I could walk to my church, to my favorite bar, to my drugstore, to my bank, to my health club. I could walk everywhere, just like I used to do back home. So I'm very jealous when I'm in Belmont Shore, because I know that's exactly what we used to have back home, back in the day. And I don't see why it can't be that way again. I know the economy's suffering. I know, and again, that's the part of this that I'm really not an expert on. I'm better at trying to bring things together through ideas and thoughts. That's what I've done here with the Rays, and that's what I'm attempting to do back there. Through my ideas and thoughts and helping to bring people together, hopefully that all these other things will spring off and people much brighter than me are able to start seeing the potential in that. So when I compare Hazleton to other places are still doing what we used to do. And I'm kind of jealous of that, because there was a time that nobody did it better than we did.
Welcome back, and again, Joe Maddon, our special guest. You're watching our interview with him from New York City, and here's the conclusion of what Joe had to say when we had a chance to sit down and chat a little bit about his winter projects here in Hazleton. If people back home want to get involved in this, what do they do? Because this sounds like something that is certainly worth a try. And with you spearheading it and taking the time, and I know talking with front office people, you've been really planning this from the beginning of the baseball season. This isn't something that's just coming around. Who do they contact? What do they do if they want to get involved in this?
Well, first of all, we've been planning this since I said last holiday season, and Rick Vaughn, who's our head of our media department with the Rays, has really spearheaded this effort from the Tampa Bay area, and then it's involved with Elaine, my cousin Elaine, and Bob Curry back home, my sister Carmine, and then there's a bunch of other folks, doctors and professionals in the area, the Salvation Army, that are also involved, as well as the Hispanic community there. New York, I don't know her last name, I can't remember her last name, but she runs a daycare center there. That's what really got me motivated to do this when I attended that, and I saw that these people are exactly like we were 40, 50, 60 years ago. Not even, you can't even say they closely resemble, no, it's exactly like what it was like walking in the Maddon household back in the day. I don't know if your last name is Hernandez or Rodriguez, exactly the same situation. So to get involved, pay attention right now, please, to the RV's going to be able to give you some information, addresses and stuff. My point about paying attention, we're going to have like little posters up in windows. You can hear different publicity things about the events. The dinner at Lobitz's with the auction, it's December 16th. The movies, the playing of the movie It's a Wonderful Life at the high school on December 17th, and then the Thanksgiving dinner on the 18th. To get involved, probably my sister runs the shop too, which is up by Hazleton High, the former Hazleton High School, right by third base. Luncheonette, go see Carmine. She'll help you out with a bunch of stuff there. My cousins Bob and Elaine, they'll help you out with a bunch of stuff too. But again, we're going to try to get out information on it. We'll give you some information regarding how to get in touch afterwards, how to buy tickets for the event at Lobitz's, who's going to be at the movie. We're going to make it like a real red carpet event, etc. So, and of course, we want everybody involved. There's nobody that I don't want to have involved in this. Really want to look for good ideas, always searching for good ideas. Again, when you're trying to do something like this, you really want to include everybody and rely on everybody's experience and expertise in all these variety of different areas, because again, we're not all experts in everything. So the more people involved, the better off we're going to be, the more ideas that are thrown out there. And again, it's about communication, building relationships, and then developing trust. And with my baseball team, when that all happens, I can be constructively critical of them, and they can accept it. So once we build all those other little bridges there, then the constructive criticism can flow both sides, and all of a sudden you can really build something worthwhile. But we'll get to the info.
Well, what you've done in your professional career with the Angels and now with the Rays is something we're all very proud of, but this sounds like something that might even supersede that, because this is something different, something the area hasn't seen and is in need of, and I think you're to be commended for that, and hopefully we get everybody behind you.
I appreciate it. Listen, I'm going to make mistakes with this. I'm going to say it up front. I'm going outside of my realm right now a little bit, and it's very uncomfortable, quite frankly, but there's a beauty of being uncomfortable. It challenges you to do new things and try new things and face different moments that the best word is that they're uncomfortable. But that's how you grow. If you're always going to stay within your comfort zone, you'll stop growing and eventually become a very boring person, okay? So keep looking to grow. I'm looking to grow at this moment right here. I'm trying to become a better person in all that I do. So it's a little bit scary for me, quite frankly. But again, I think it's also good for me as we move forward in our lives and in my life. So I hope you get on board with this. Nobody will be turned away. Our goal is to bring Hazleton back to the prominence that it once had. Walking down Broad Street with all the vibrant shops, the Leader Store, Dice Roads, the old Grand Theater up in the corner, and then the Capitol down below, right? I think I saw Ben-Hur back in the day. All the little shops, whether it's Third Base up by the high school, you go downtown for a Coney Island hot dog, all that stuff. You could still smell, see, like it was yesterday, and I know you people can too. So it may be a little bit different. We may have a little bit more of a Hispanic or Latin flavor to it, which would be absolutely fabulous because these friends of our friends, my hermanos, they're wonderful people. They're very lively. They know how to live life. I mean, I think the Latin community has taught me a lot regarding just how to approach the day in general. They're wonderful, warm, family-oriented folks. So they're going to add a certain vibrance to our city that we've never seen before either, if we all get on the same page, and then we could teach them what we've learned over the years too. And ultimately, my real pipe dream here is to set an example for the rest of that area, because there's a lot of towns up there in need, and maybe we could be the beacon that provides or shows the way for other cities to do the same thing.
Well, thanks for joining us in a special interview with Joe Maddon. And there'll be more details. Stay tuned to Local News 13. We'll be following this and giving you all the information you're going to need if you want to get involved. For the entire staff and Joe Maddon, Fred Barletta saying thank you.